Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Hey, pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy CJ Vogel. And yeah, there he goes, joined by the coach as well, former high school football coach at Vernon Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian and coached there on multiple stints, and also was on the University of Texas football staff for multiple head coaches. Coach Bob Shipley joining us now. You can find his work at shipleyranches.com. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, all good. Doing great. How about you guys?
Doing great, Coach. Doing great. Longhorns, undefeated, and on a bye week. Don't get better than that. And you got Texas OU coming up after that. So I'm in a good mood. I'm sure a lot of Longhorn fans are. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate you joining us today. You know how this works. We'll try to answer as many of your questions, address as many of your comments as we can. So just throw them out there. All right. Whatever you got, we are pleased to address it and answer all those questions. Super chats jump to the front of the line. They can interrupt the show at any time. We do have some topics I want to get the guys' thoughts about. There's a scheduling update, future scheduling update for Texas football that we got to get to. We'll get to that later on. Also, our Pro Football Focus showing some love to that freshman class. I mean, I'll ask the question, does Texas have the best freshman class in the country, considering how some of these freshmen are performing? We'll also get into some of the other big matchups around college football. It's not a really sexy weekend in college football, but I think there are some intriguing matchups, compelling ones, especially with Texas rivals, Arkansas, A&M. They got some good matchups, compelling matchups. Of course, Oklahoma having a bye week before the Texas OU game, just like Texas. So we can talk a little bit about the Texas OU game, get you guys' thoughts, how you feeling about that matchup a week out. Also, I want to get into a conversation about what Sark calls phase one, which is the first phase of the season for him, which we just got done with, and about to enter phase two, which is the start of the Texas OU game, then that stretch of Georgia and the rest of the regular season. So I want to ask you guys, what predictions, what can you think you could accurately predict about this team going forward, just from the sample size of phase one? 5 games in, what do you think you can accurately predict about this team? So we'll get into that too. Before we do any of that, though, let me start off by thanking one of our fantastic sponsors. Of course, you see me represent Duck Camp. You guys should represent it too. Go check out duckcamp.com because they have a new fall selection, new fall lineup. And trust me, folks, it is fantastic. I already ordered about 4 items. I can't wait till I get them. You'll see me showing them off here on the live stream. Duck Camp produces premium outdoor goods. So you can outdoor good, producing premium outdoor goods for the outdoor spirit in all of us, whether you're an avid hunter or you're a fisherman or fisher woman, whatever you want to do. If you're like me and you like to hang out and enjoy the camaraderie of the campfire, or just enjoy the campsite and the camaraderie of the outdoor lifestyle, Duck Camp is the brand for you. It's a brand that understands the culture and outdoor culture and the outdoor living and good times and good friends that comes with that outdoor lifestyle. So give them a chance today. Duckcamp.com is where you want to go. They have a brand new fall selection, a fall lineup that is fantastic. You can go check that out at duckcamp.com. All right. Thank you, Duck Camp, for sponsoring the Winning Drive. I want to get right to this question, guys, about the first phase of the season. And, Coach, I'll throw it to you first. Is there one or more predictions that you are ready to make about this team that you think you can make accurately based on just the sample size that we have, just the 5-game sample size we have so far?
That's a tough question. Team-wise, individual-wise.
Individual team.
Yeah, I would say we're going to have 2 freshman All-Americans, but that's not much of a surprise, probably.
There you go.
But I think this team is going to be the team, in my opinion, that we look back on. And, last year, you could have said the same thing about the team last year. You look back on that team. So that's what kind of got us started to be in a blue blood program again. But this is the year that will go ahead and go on with that. And at that level of playing, or, it'll digress. I predict it's going to keep going, and we can look back and say the 23-24 seasons were the seasons that made Texas one of the top 3 blue blood programs again consistently in the country. And so what what I'm seeing, what I'm hoping that predicting that we'll see in the future, not on the second half of the season, but for years to come, is just a more consistent program, a more consistent culture that is going to consistently win. It's going to consistently compete for national titles.
Yeah, I like that. How about you, CJ? Coach gave kind of an individual one. I like the one about the 2 freshmen All-Americans, and then get kind of a macro one. So maybe a team one and an individual one, but you can give as many as you want if you feel so bold.
Oh, I don't know how bold I'm feeling today, but I do think this is a top 5 offense in all of the country. I think you will see that throughout the remainder of the year, whether it be points scored, whether it be yards gained. You'll see Texas up there, top 5 in the country when it all comes down to it at the end of the year. And that's even after going against, a full SEC lineup. And I think one thing that you can really point to right now is Texas played its worst game of the year against Mississippi State. Still scored 35, still had over 500 yards of offense. You look at the other top elite offenses in the country, especially in the SEC, some of those more gimmicky offenses, ones that rely on the super wide splits, teams that, you can game plan against. In Ole Miss, what happened there? Well, about 17 points against Kentucky? Tennessee, they're up there averaging 700 yards a game almost. Scored 25 points on the road against Oklahoma. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. You won a road game against a ranked team. But I think the versatility in the way that this offense is built allows for Texas to play just about any type of defense, whatever scheme that they face. And we know that their teams have already shown a number of different looks, whether it be a 3 high, a quarters look, a man-based look. Teams that have very talented edge rushers and front 7 guys. It doesn't matter. Texas will be a top 5 offense and maybe the top overall offense when it's all said and done because of a great offensive line, a very talented quarterback and wide receivers, and a tight end that can make things happen out of just about nothing. So I really, really like this offensive makeup, and I think that it has capability to be the best overall offense at the end of the year.
Yeah, and honestly, and I agree with this, got a chance to be that good. And one of my predictions is I don't know if you're going to have 1,000-yard rusher, and you may barely get to 1,000-yard receiver in Isaiah Bond. Considering how, because I agree with you, I think the offense can be really prolific, but I think in terms of how it looks and how it's distributed, I actually don't know if you're going to have like a bell cow in terms of the production. I think we'll see that Isaiah Bond will probably be your number 1 wide receiver when it's all said and done. Jaden Blue probably leads you in rushes and rushing yards when it's all said and done. But is Jaden Blue going to be 1,000-yard rusher? I don't know if you have one. Sark has 12 straight years with 1,000-yard rusher. Right now, I don't see it. But I'm not saying that's indictment on the offense. Actually, I think it actually is a compliment because I agree with you. You got elite offense right now. You got a top 10 offense. I think they continue to be top 10, maybe in top 5, but not necessarily with the bell cow production from one specific person. And I think that's a unique element. I can't think of the last elite offense in college football where, you didn't have a couple of bell cows. I think that is truly unique for Sark. And I think a great recruiting tool, too, that everybody, you can have a lot of high-end weapons on offense and everybody can eat.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Normally, whenever Texas has had these high-flying offenses, especially under Sark, it's, they're feeding Xavier Worthy 140 targets a year, or they're feeding Bijan Robinson 300 carries.
Yep.
Well, you have talented guys, and you have guys that were playing the NFL for quite some time, but it's not like it's because of what Texas has to do to get them involved to make their offense work. In a way, it's better in the sense that Isaiah Bond is out there running a post route and taking up a corner, a safety, and the backside safety. That leaves Matthew Golden wide open underneath on a crossing, right? We saw it against Mississippi State. It was Jonte Cook coming underneath, this route of what was a 31-yard gain underneath. So because of that, you can't game plan against what Texas can throw out from a personnel scheme as well. We saw it a year ago in the Alabama game when Jonte Cook was on the field for 4 or 5 plays. One of those plays, he had to draw down the backside safety, in which you saw Xavier Worthy run that over the top post that allowed for Texas to score on one-on-one coverage because of the personnel in the field. Well, when you can do that with 6 deep, that no longer becomes, hey, alert, 2's on the field, 1's on the field. We got to know they're always on alert, and they can't hone in on one specific guy. which in the end makes everybody else just that more difficult. And they're doing this while not having an elite running back, right? That running game is solid. It's good. It does the job, but it's not elite in any sense of the word right now. Could it become so? But at the moment, through 5 games, we've not yet seen it become that elite category, though the offense in itself, I think, is still like up there and could compete with just about anybody in the country.
Yeah, basically.
Hey, Rod,
go ahead, Coach.
No, I was just going to say, kind of following off of that. Is there a position on the field, maybe running back because of our injuries? Is there a position on the field where we're not going to have a legitimate finalist candidate for the position award, end of the year awards?
I mean,
you've got Kelvin Banks at offensive line, you've got Quinn at quarterback, you've got Gunnar Helms at tight end, you've got Isaiah Bond at wide receiver, maybe somebody else, Anthony Hill at linebacker. You could have surprisingly a couple of DBs, maybe Bert Auburn. I mean, there's hardly not a position, and we would have probably in the running back had we had CJ Baxter healthy.
And I think ultimately this discussion we're having, I agree with you, Coach. I think we got a lot of guys in the conversation to be the best at their position in the country. The production actually may hurt some of their chances to win those national awards. Like I said, I don't when those awards are going to be at the end of the regular season, right? These awards. So. I don't know if you're going to have 1,000-yard receiver by then. I think you're going to need the playoffs to get to 1,000-yard receiver. The way the pace is right now, what was it? Your leading receiver has 300? And Isaiah Bond has 364 yards. Guys, we through 5 games already. That's not on a 1,000-yard pace unless we get to deep into the playoffs, that kind of thing. So I wonder, Coach, because I think you're right, Coach, but I wonder if that'll hurt those guys' chances. Now, defense, I think they'll be okay because it's judged at it's judged by a different metric. But offensively, for some of those national awards, you usually got to have the gaudy numbers to go along with it. Yeah. And I don't know if we're going to have that, except for quarterback.
Right. But to your point, Coach, I mean, in the sense that you combine individual regular season awards versus, maybe a top 2 or 3 guy taken off the draft in 2024, I think, or 2025, I think you look at it in the sense that Isaiah Bond's in that conversation. He might not have the individual awards, but he's that darn good of a football player where you take that trade-off. Gunnar Helms certainly in that conversation as well. And with Quinn coming back, I think you're going to see a pretty significant, increase in his overall statistics. I think, I don't know the overall numbers, but when you look at it, when throwing to Gunnar Helm, it felt like more of a safety blanket for him than Arch. Of course, Arch, we love the big plays. We love the idea that, there's always someone open downfield. But we know that's not what Quinn does when he's on the field, and that more methodical, get the ball out quick, get the ball out early, let the playmakers make plays, and let your tight ends and running backs underneath open up that space or utilize that open space created by your wide receivers. Gunnar Helm, I think, is going to start skyrocketing in some of those tight end Mackey Award conversations because Ewers is coming back. At the end of the day, he might be the biggest winner of Quinn coming back for the Texas Longhorns.
I like to see that's the thing. So I don't know if tight end you need the gaudy numbers. So Gunnar Helm, to Coach's point, he might have a better chance in being in that Mackey Award conversation. I think Quinn missing 2 games that hurt his national award candidacy. Missing 2 games, we know he's taken out the Heisman conversation pretty much after missing 2 games. It's gonna be tough to make up the ground there. I think he's got the 7th best odds right now to win the Heisman. He went from number 2 best to 2nd best odds to now 7th. It's gonna be tough if you don't have the games under your belt. But can he be up for some national awards? The Maxwell, Davey O'Brien after missing some of those games. What are your thoughts? Is that still a possibility?
I think so, but I think it also depends on, if Alabama goes undefeated and Colorado makes a run for the playoff, then you start looking at it in the sense that Quinn's fighting with one arm behind his back because he missed 2 games, right? Now, if things start tumbling elsewhere and Quinn beats Oklahoma, beats Georgia, beats Texas A&M, has those big moments and big games, we already have the Michigan game in his back pocket. Now you're looking at it at, an outside chance to make a lot of noise towards the back half of the season. Of course, he needs to come out against Oklahoma and act like he doesn't miss a beat, which I believe that he will because that's just kind of the demeanor and quarterback that he is. But it certainly looks like other quarterbacks kind of have that leg up Jalen Milroe specifically because of the win that he had against Georgia at home.
Coach, you brought up your prediction was that we would have 2 freshman All-Americans, and I mean, I think you're right on the money there. There's no doubt. Ryan Wingo and, of course, Colin Simmons. I saw a Pro Football Focus graphic, and Matthew, if you don't mind, can you pull this up for us? There's a Pro Football Focus graphic that had the highest graded true freshmen in the country, and Texas had the top 2 highest graded true freshmen in the country, Colin Simmons and Ryan Wingo. Look at it right there in front of you. Is it, coaches? I mean, could we be talking about Texas with the best freshman class overall when you start breaking down all the guys that are contributing from that freshman class potentially? We know Jerry Gibson has been a big-time contributor because they needed the young man to contribute. Hell, I've seen Alex January thrown out there, some young guys contributing. I'm sure there are some other freshman classes around the country that are really impressive. But Texas is definitely in the conversation for one of the best freshman classes in the country.
Yeah, so I'm assuming Arch Manning is considered a sophomore.
He's a rich. Is he considered a sophomore? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. This is the true freshman list.
True freshman, yeah.
Coach, to your point, your prediction's looking pretty darn good right now. 2 freshman All-American.
Well,
you got the 2 highest graded guys.
Yeah, but that's kind of a no-brainer prediction. I mean, it's like I predict around 8 p.m. tonight it's going to start getting dark. Those 2 guys are going to be freshman All-Americans. I mean, we still got 7 to 10, 11 games left. So a lot of things can happen. Just as we lost our quarterback, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but there could be another quarterback or 2 go down and miss a few games this year. I think if Quinn comes back up and plays like he's just not missing a beat and has the big wins that we're talking about, and especially if we could somehow maneuver through this regular season and go undefeated, I think he's right back in the Heisman talk.
I agree.
Yeah. Next 2 weeks are big. He's got Heisman moments, right? Texas OU game, Texas versus Georgia. He'll have his Heisman moment. And that's why he leapfrogged a lot of people in the Heisman odds after the Michigan game on that big stage. So you're right, Coach. I mean, if he just gets invited, I still think that's a hell of an accomplishment just to get there and get the invite.
That's a win for Texas. If he's in New York,
yeah,
that's the win for Texas. And that representation has been lacking from the Texas football program for quite some time, right? I don't know. Was it Colt, I'm assuming, was the last representative in New York for the Heisman? Yep. If that can be Quinn, that's pretty significant, even without 2 games on his resume that he had to miss. Coach, let me get your thoughts. And I haven't looked at the other freshman running backs in the country, but could you possibly see Texas with 3 freshman All-American if Jarrett Gibson continues kind of doing what he's doing? Is it too tough depending on the committee and what other guys are doing?
I think he has the potential to do it. He's shown me enough that he deserves some more playing time, and he deserves to carry the ball in some crunch situations. He certainly has. There's certainly enough games left on the schedule for him to raise his stock in that area. Again, like you, I don't know what the other freshman running backs in the country have done. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Boise State running back in terms of Heisman talk and things like that, because he's lighting it up.
He is man. That dude's a
Ashton Jeanty. Yeah, they play Utah State this weekend, Coach. Rod, his odds to score 1 touchdown minus 3,500. So take that to the bank. If you put $100 on that, you might get a penny back. Utah State is 106th in the country in yards per game allowed on the ground at over 216.
That's going to be that is going to be a blood.
He may break some records Saturday.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's already on. Okay, since we're talking about him real quick, he's already on a crazy pace. So this is the pace that the young man is on. He is on. Yeah, look at this dude. And look at the leap that he took, though. Like he was a good running back before. He wasn't. He was a good running back. Look at his averages: 5.13, 6.1, and then he took a leap. He became superhuman. Like over one off season. I'll give Ashton Jeanty the best compliment I can give him. They should drug test this young man. Because he's doing some things. You look like you got some PEDs in your system, son. You're doing things I ain't seen nobody do in a long time out there. All right, so here's rushing yards. He's on pace for 2,535 rushing yards, guys.
He's on Barry watch.
Exactly. Barry Sanders' record is 2,628. So he can, if he has a couple of big games, he could end up approaching that record. Rushing touchdowns, he's on pace for 39. Barry Sanders, the record is 37. He's on pace to break that record. Yards after contact, he's on pace for 1,761 yards after contact alone, Coach. That would also break a record. And he's on pace for 132 forced missed tackles. Bijan has the record for 104. This dude's on pace to beat it by 28 forced missed tackles. He is. I said, Ashton Jeanty, I'm not trying to hate on you. Drug test that young man. He's killing.
This is remarkable.
It's unbelievable. Look at that.
That's unreal.
Yeah, and so I would say, him and Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is doing some amazing things too that we haven't seen a human being do on the college football field in a while. So drug test them both. I'm sure they're going to pass, but that's my compliment to them. That's how good they look out there. Look superhuman.
What's crazy is he has 6 receptions for 19 yards in the passing game. So folks are locking him down in space, right? He brings on that contact just to say, no, you can't bring me down, and I'm going to the house. That's pretty remarkable.
I gotta watch Boise State. I'm gonna try to go watch Boise State because I need to see how good is the O-line. Is the O-line really good?
They're good, and the issue with that is, Rod, they kick off at 9 and 10 o'clock Central times each week. This week actually 6 p.m. kick. So you'll get the Central Time voters to tune in there. East Coast probably they're already in bed, but
you're right about that. That's just a good point. That's why I haven't seen it, but I'll make a point. Since we ain't got no Texas football, I'm gonna try to catch up on watching a little Ashton Jeanty. Because he's that dude is a must-watch television. Getting back to the conversation about Texas, though, guys, because Coach was talking about the freshman All-Americans and Colin Simmons and Ryan Wingo and how great that group is. Another prediction that I think I'm willing to make about this team, and I've said this before. I think I said it before the season started. I think you're actually going to have, for half of your games, you're going to have a different leading receiver for half, if not more than half of your games. We're already at 4 different leading receivers in 5 of your games. I got a feeling you're going to have a Matthew Golden game where he's going to be a leading receiver. That will make 5. And I feel like there's a Jonte Cook game like DeAndre Moore just had at one point in the season. I don't know when it's going to be, but and I know UT boys happy to hear me saying I say that. It's going to be a Jonte Cook game, I assure you. Well, he's going to have his breakout game. And I don't even know about Silas Bowden. That could be a Silas Bowden game. Them not keeping in there too. I really am confident now you're going to have probably 6 games, half of your season, where there was a different leading receiver. And we got to go do the research, CJ. There's no way. I don't know if that's happened at Texas. Maybe ever.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah. We might have to send CB on a little side mission to find out if that has ever happened. But my goodness, again, the depth. How do you defend against that? Any guy, like, teams are going to have to substitute. Teams are going to have to rotate defensive backs. It's just the nature of football. Texas can rotate their wide receivers, and they'll just be, maybe a half step slower, in comparison to Isaiah Bond, who might be the fastest player in college football. It's pretty darn good.
He is. Yeah, he is the fastest player in college football, guys. I think he is. I do. I haven't seen. I love that Real Analytics keeps up with it. Coach, nobody at the NFL level or the college level have ran as fast as Isaiah Bond ran on that basically that receiver screen that he ran, that bubble screen that he took to the house. We haven't seen anybody run faster than he ran on that play in football at the college or the pro level. CB says some NFL scouts are saying Bond is faster than Worthy. CJ and I discussed it. Coach, what are your thoughts? You judge speed. What do you think Bond is faster than Xavier Worthy? I know.
Yeah, I don't think he's as quick.
That's good.
In terms of getting 0-10, But I would say he's just a touch behind Worthy. But to me, the guy just broke the all-time record. I mean, and let's don't dethrone him until somebody, especially from the same team, but that's not taking anything away from Isaiah Bond. He might be right there with him, but I'm not going to unseat him until the combine and somebody actually does it. Because, running with a football in your hand when you're not thinking about anything, and then you're tensed up and the cameras are on you and you're in an empty stadium, and your draft stock's fixing to either go up or go down. It's a little more pressure sometimes.
Amen to that.
It would be cool to see Texas become kind of that Combine U team, right? I know
Speed
that
you.
it
Speed
means nothing.
you.
That's exactly. It
Look
means
at
nothing
that.
in
My mind.
games.
Nice.
But we saw it a year ago, right? It was the talk of the town was Xavier Worthy running, 4.21. Adonai Mitchell running 4.34. Devondre Sweat at 370 pounds running a 5.21 basically. You're sitting there watching, oh man, Byron Murphy, winner. Keep these freak athletes coming out. Speaks on development. That's how you get more Colin Simmonses and Anthony Hills and Manny Muhammad's, and just replenishes itself.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And how crazy would it be that let's just say Bond did go break the record? I agree with you, Coach. Let's not dethrone the champ right now because it was thrilling the way it all went down at the Combine. But if Bond does go and break the record, Sark would have the last 3 record holders for the 40-yard dash at the Combine.
He's got a type.
There'll be receivers for him. That would be that would show you that he definitely has a type.
Well, of course, for that to happen, all Isaiah has to do is run the 3rd fastest time, and Stark still got the top 3.
Well, we're talking about basically he's got to run a 4.2 flat. So didn't Xavier Worthy say it with a 4.21?
Yeah.
So. Well, Rod, if he runs a 4.23, then you have the 3 fastest ever.
Oh, that's true. Good point. Yeah, that's true. You can just I like that. That's
big
cool.
brain right there, Coach.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I don't know how fast Bond is, but it's gonna be a show at the NFL.
He's
Combine.
plenty fast.
He is. I'm gonna say that his football speed may be as fast as Xavier Worthy. I don't know if taking everything off in the underwear Olympics if he's gonna be a 4.21 is moving.
That's true.
But football speed, I ain't gonna lie, that dude he actually clocked a faster time than Xavier Worthy did last year by real analytics, and Xavier Worthy was the fastest player in college football. So, I mean, he can run.
That's crazy.
It is, yeah. All right, before we continue our conversation, John, let me thank another one of our sponsors, Carrot Concierge. Our friends at Carrot Concierge are back, a part of the On Texas Football family, so we really are grateful for this partnership and relationship. So if you're looking for the right gift for that woman in your life, make sure you check out the carrotconcierge.com. Jody Reynolds is a personal jeweler. She is the Carrot Concierge with an office right there in Westlake. Jody focuses on helping me purchase the special gift for this special woman in your life. You can use the QR code on the screen here to see even more, or visit her on Instagram or her website, thecarrotconcierge.com as well. Jody prides herself in providing personal service. She takes the extra steps to make sure your lady gets exactly what she wants. And because she doesn't have the overhead of a storefront, she often can get higher quality inventory at the best prices, folks, at the lowest prices, as much as 30% less than what you'd expect to see or get at a jewelry store. So if you're looking for something special, birthdays, where you're talking about an anniversary, Christmas is right around the corner as well, the holiday season, Jody has a variety of tennis bracelets, rings, necklaces, and more, all beautiful jewelry, all personalized for you and yours. Check out the carrotconcierge.com, visit her website, or give her a call or text and take care of that special person in your life with thecarrotconcierge.com. Thank you very much for sponsoring the Winning Drive. We appreciate you being a part of being back with the On Texas Football family. That is a great partner, and we're happy to have the Carrot Concierge a part of the On Texas Football team. How about this? Happy birthday to Tedapari One. Says happy birthday today to Stevie Ray Vaughan and me. So happy birthday.
Hey,
we're glad you could join us on your B-Day. That's special to us. We appreciate it. It's a special day for you. So happy birthday to you and yours. Hope y'all really enjoy it. Let's get to a couple of questions, and then I will get to that future scheduling update because it didn't cross my timeline. CJ had to tell me about it. So maybe there's some Longhorn fans who haven't heard about it either. And maybe Coach hadn't even heard about it. We'll get to that. But how about this one? Antoine says, besides Kenneth Sims, who else in UT history has been a top 3 NFL draft pick? Wasn't Mike Williams and Leonard Davis?
Yeah.
Weren't they number 2 overall? I believe both of those guys.
What was Ricky?
Ricky was like 3 or 4. And Ricky was in the top 5. I know he was in the top 5. I'm gonna look that up right now. I think he was in the top 5. Not sure if he was top 3.
Was Vince not number 2 as well to the Titans?
I think Vince was a little bit late. Yeah, Ricky was 5. If I'm not mistaken, Vince was a little later too. I want to say Vince was like right outside the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe number 6. Was VY number 6? Let me check this out. No, pick number 3. You're right. I'm wrong about that. VY was pick 3.
Okay.
So VY was in the top 3. Big Leonard Davis, I believe, was 2. I believe Big Mike Williams was also part of that. He was in the top 2. And I don't know. We missing anybody there? Top 3 overall picks?
Can't imagine Bobby Lane. Did Bobby Lane not get drafted?
Yeah. We got to go back way.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That?
Bobby Lane, Tommy Novus, Jerry Sizemore, Earl Campbell, Lamb Jones, Leonard Davis. Ah!
That's a pretty good group.
That's a good group. Yeah. That's a pretty good group.
Awesome.
Where did Earl go? Did Earl go second?
I don't know.
Got to check that out. Now, good group there. Great group there. I think the highest pick of this group is definitely going to be Kelvin Banks. I just don't know how high he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to go top 3. I think he'll end up top 5, somewhere around there. Ooh, there he goes. Yeah. Okay.
Number 1
overall. So our number 1s are Kenneth Sims, Earl Campbell. Those are my number 1 overall picks, 1-1. Are those our only 2 1-1s?
I think so.
That might be it. I think it is. If I'm off, somebody hit me up and let me know. Could be. At least in more modern times. I don't know about, like I said, Bobby Lane's day. I'm not sure about that. Coach is right about that. I think Bobby Lane was like pick number 3 or something like that. So good question there, Antoine. Hopefully, Texas gets back with getting players drafted in the top 5, somewhere around there, top 10 consistently, and then I think you break through with a 1-1. Arch is, I think he's the most likely next guy to be a 1-1 if you could do it, right? I mean, I don't want to put too much pressure on the young man, but I think that's probably, if you're going to look at a guy getting drafted in top 3, he's probably your most likely candidate coming up next that's on the roster.
Yeah.
The top 3 pick. All right. Thank you for that
conversation.
The fact that we can have this conversation means we have come a long way, gentlemen. From losing to Kansas in Sark's first year, we've come a very, very long way.
Well, CB mentioned Arch is already getting number 1 overall projections. I think that was going to be expected, especially following what he's already done here at Texas. Who else could join this conversation right now? Colin Simmons. Can I interest anybody in an edge rusher with lightning quick speed off the ball?
Ooh, he's got to do. He's going to have to break some sack records to do that. But first round, no doubt. But to be number 1 overall, you got to be especially freaky.
He is. I mean, just remember, man, this time last year,
he's freaky.
The team moms were bringing Gatorade by before the game. I mean, it's just like he ain't far removed from being small-time football. I mean, good night. It's unbelievable.
Well, I'll say this: he's got to test like a freak too. And so
that's true.
That's going to be the big. Does he test like a freak? If he tests like a freak, and then that has that eye test, matches the eye test, he got a shot because he's got.
Well, he's going to. We got 2 more years with him.
Yep. Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, you ain't got much longer. Yeah, but I think how about this? I'll say this. I'm willing to say this right now about Colin Simmons. He has the potential to be the best pass rusher in college football. That's what kind of potential he's at. Now, does that make him a potential number 1 overall pick? Maybe. Does that, I don't know where that puts him in terms of draft status, but I will say he's got that kind of potential. And, when was the last time Texas was able to say that about a player?
Well, I would say it puts you in the top 5 picks anyway. I'd be interested to go back and look at the best pass rushers in each draft and where they went.
Yeah, you're right. They're going to put them. It's going to put you high up there.
What's going to work against them is you see the top overall pass rushers, and they're 6'5" plus, right? Myles Garrett's in that conversation. Jadeveon Clowney was a big dude coming out of college. Nothing against Colin Simmons, but he is about 6'2.5", 6'3". I know he's up to about 245. But those big guys act in a sense as an extended interior guy that just has lightning quick speed like the Myles Garrett's of the world. So, that's one of the reasons why you saw TJ Watt fall to 28, and he's arguably the best defensive player in the NFL right now. It's just because he doesn't have that elite length and that overall size that compares to, those overall guys. But hey, if you're getting off the ball as quickly as you see Colin Simmons, what might be a pretty good indication of what NFL teams would move towards to is James Pierce, the Tennessee edge rusher, who is getting first-round grades coming into the year. He's having a good year, but I think that's more of the prototypical Colin Simmons type of build that you could see in the NFL.
Yep. No, good point about they want those freakish measurables too, right? Things that you just can't coach up, which is the wingspan, the arm length, the size and the height. But yeah, you can make up for that if you got BGO, which the young man certainly has a lot of. All right. Thank you for the question, Antoine. Moving on to another one here. Frank Ducliet, we appreciate that. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. Says, does Bolden have a chance to take one back against Oklahoma? Their punter may be busy. Yeah, that is true. Great point about them playing the ball a lot. I think, honestly, Oklahoma's going to take that game plan coach that Mississippi State had, because it is a relatively rudimentary game plan that even Oklahoma, with their limitations and deficiencies on offense, they can execute that. Now, Texas, has to do their best to force them to abandon that game plan. They didn't do that against Mississippi State, but holding the football, they read it 50 times, commit themselves to the run, sprinkled in quarterback run game. Hawkins is a really dynamic runner. He can go. And pray that they have some weapons on the outside that get healthy at the wide receiver position. But to just play ball control offense and keep the football, convert, and take your shots when Texas, gives you that opportunity. But I think they know they're limited on offense, and their game plan is going to be very similar to Mississippi State. Can we just control the ball and control the game long enough to make it competitive and let our defense win it for us? That's what I think the plan is going to be.
Nothing like a great punt return against OU. Last time I think we did it. What was a young man out of Pflugerville?
Daje?
Daje. Yeah. Oh my goodness, man.
Nice.
It's funny because before that game, I told him, I said, man, this game is where legends are made. In this game right here, it had nothing to do with why he took it back to the house, but I love seeing that highlight. I love seeing that, Wayne McGarity, and of course Jordan's kickoff return.
Yeah.
Those long plays at OU are they're explosive plays like that. They're momentum changers in that game. And there would be no better time for Silas to break his first one as a Longhorn than against OU. And we're due. Special teams, in fact, we're down one. We got a blocked punt.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, we haven't. Well, have we blocked a punt?
No.
Not this year.
Not yet. Daje Vu. Daje Vu, like that deja vu.
Right.
Daje Vu, because I want to see him. I want to see him over and over, man. Give him the football.
Unfortunately, when he got out of school, he went deja vu. We don't know where he went.
Well, he actually, I want to say he's still rapping. Remember he started rapping for a while? You remember this, CJ?
No, I did not know that.
He's too young, but he started rapping. He came out with like a rap album and everything. I'm serious. I'm not joking. He actually started. I listened to a couple of his songs. So.
Well, if he's as good a rapper as he is a speed demon, he'll be successful.
Is he quick with the words?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he had a song called "The Dealer." I remember that. I really do. I don't know why I remember that. That's a waste of space in my brain. Shout out to Daje. He might be still living in the Central Texas area. Who knows? All right,
he's a freak.
He was a real good player, actually. Thank you for the question, Frank. We appreciate that. All right, let me get to one more of our sponsors here. We got our friends over at Hargrove Roofing, and I want to thank them as well for sponsoring the winning drive. Hargrove Roofing, as a matter of fact, when Stevie Lee comes on, and we're very grateful for Stevie Lee coming on, he comes on courtesy of our good friends over at Hargrove Roofing. If you need some help with your roof, or you have concerns about your roof, or you've never really had your roof done, and you may be wondering, hey, is it about that time? Do I need to be looking into getting a new roof? Our friends at Hargrove Roofing can answer all of your questions. They have a great business model, and right now they're offering you a free roof inspection, folks. That's right. You call them today at 512-645-3202, and you can get a free roof inspection today. They have offices all over Louisiana, Arkansas, and of course the great state of Texas, including Austin, Texas, and they will take care of all of your roofing needs. Our friends over at Hargrove Roofing, they're all about customer service, and they have superior, reliable service. As a matter of fact, you can hit them up anytime, any day, and let them know exactly what you need, and they will come to your aid, folks. So give them a call, 512-645-3202, or visit hardgroveroofing.com. That's hardgroveroofing.com, the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there, with partnerships with Lifetime Longhorn Bert Arbin, and of course our own Lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee. That's Hardgrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof. We appreciate them for sponsoring the winning drive. How about this one? Cade Miller says, "Hey, Coach Shipley, how many fade routes do you think Jackson scored a touchdown on at Brownwood?" Was that the go-to? Was that the go-to call, Coach? The fade?
Yeah. It's him and Graylin Brown, his quarterback, who, if he was 2 or 3 inches taller, would probably still be playing quarterback somewhere. He was a stud. But yeah, they would make up their own stuff sometimes, and I'm like, what was that, Coach? We scored. I know, but what was that? What's a little deal we got?
Well,
okay,
you're telling me they were calling recess plays? Yes. Just get open, and I'll find you the route.
No, they had a play. I don't know what they called. They just kind of did like this at each other, and it was on. I mean, it was on. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, but he scored a bunch of them, and he scored a bunch of punt returns too. He had quite a career there at Brownwood. Great place for him to play.
You got to like that if you're the coach and the play caller there. Folks are in the crowd saying, "Wow, they're really dialing it up. Coach is in a rhythm."
Yeah, but what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get the ball around to some other receivers. I don't want to face their mamas after the game either. I can handle Jackson's mom, but that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, you got to make sure that the Good Iron Club mamas show up for the Gatorade and the locker decorations next week.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to play daddy ball this week. Daddy's going to throw Jackie the ball.
That's what I'm saying. I know, the parents are like, Coach, you're trying to get Jackson the ball.
I hate it. But I tell you what, there's no telling what kind of stats Jordan could have had, really, and even Jackson too. But Jordan, our deal was we'd play our starters one series into the third quarter, and if we were still, if we were up by like 4 or 5 touchdowns, they're out. Wow. All the other guys got to play, and they earned that right, to do that. But we were just so far ahead. I mean, goodness, we had like 6 Division I guys on that 3A football team. Oh. It was. I mean, of course, it'd be 4A now. But we had a tight end at Arkansas, an offensive tackle at Georgia Tech, an offensive tackle at Arizona, Stephen McGee at A&M, Jordan at Texas. 2 went to Abilene Christian. 1 went to Mary Hardin Baylor. Yeah, we had some cats on that team. Yeah, it was fun.
Was that the best team? Was that the best team you ever coached?
I don't know. I don't know if it was that one. I think those 2 years in Burnett, we played the state championship games. Were both really, really talented teams. But the one in Brownwood, we would have had our quarterback broke his epicondyle in about the 4th game of the year or 5th game, and Jackson had broke his collarbone in a scrimmage against San Angelo Central, and Jackson didn't come back until the backup quarterback. When Jackson came back, our quarterback had broke his leg the week before, so they didn't even get to play together until their senior year. But that was if that team played the Burnett team, I don't know which one would win.
Wow!
I got to look up the old epicondyle. It's the end of the femur.
Man.
The femur, which is the largest bone in the body, except Rod. It's that joint down there, the epicondyle down there. Yeah, that's it.
I learn something new every day with Coach. See, I'm a smarter man. I didn't even know the term. What'd you say, Coach?
Epicondyle.
Epicondyle.
Yeah.
All right, epicondyle.
I don't know how we got off on talking about bones, but here we go.
Hey, that's what people come here for. They come.
I did it again. I'm on a roll.
Once a show. Once per show. That's Coach's goal.
We got to get a tally going.
No, my goal is the next week is going to be somebody else. Right? I think it was you last time or 2 times ago. I can't remember.
It's been me at least once or twice. I know that. Then CJ, well, not only CJ had the one, he went to the wrong airport. And so that was one of those moments too, where he told that story. That was a great story from CJ. So we've all had our moments on the show where, hey, we probably have.
It's probably kept us all from running for political office at some point in our life.
We just don't want to get canceled. Just don't cancel. Yeah. That's all. Right, what we say. It's all in good fun. I promise you that. All right, a couple of more questions here. How about this one from Cruz, thank you, Cruz, for the question. Says, how much more insane would this offense be with CJ Baxter in the mix? Agreed. Yeah, I mean, CJ Baxter. This could be I think West Tennessee, the number one offense in the country. Somebody did number one. It could be up there as the number one offense. CJ still predicts it's going to be, a top 3, top 5 offense in the country. And it could be. Right now it's top 10, even without CJ Baxter. So, yeah, with CJ Baxter, you get that power element too, in addition to what Jaden Blue brings to the table. I agree with you. I don't know if there's a better offense in the country if CJ Baxter doesn't get hurt. But that's football. Yeah. That's how football go, right, Coach? That's how I go.
Yeah, with Baxter, had he been healthy, I think you would have seen that explosive run game in the sense that you're seeing the running backs patiently hit holes. And I think right now what you're seeing with maybe some inexperience at the position is they're too quick to think to hit what they think is the hole rather than a cutback lane or something late developing. Baxter has that patience, and he developed it later last year, right? His issue a year ago was very much the same thing. He wanted to get the ball and go. And I think that long touchdown run on the toss against Kansas State kind of helped him sit back, get the ball in his hands, and then say, ooh, okay, let me wait for my blocks to get out front and then hit the hole and go. And then you saw a different running back for him in the second half. But right now, I think that inexperience for Texas in the running back department is kind of showing up a little bit at times.
Yeah, I was talking to Fozzie Whitaker and Jeremy Hills about this. Shout out to the Third Longhorns crew, Alex Okafor and my man Derek Johnson and Nick Shuley. And he actually echoed something very similar about the running backs. Fozzie believes that's why they haven't broken a big run, more explosive runs, coaches, because he said they're not patient enough. It's patience and vision. And he thinks it's a combination of why they haven't broke those big runs, even though Jaden Blue is, an explosive back and he's one of the fastest backs in the country. They haven't broke as many runs as they did with Jonathan Brooks back there because, as CJ kind of mentioned, Jonathan Brooks had more patience and better vision. And so that's something he said also, CJ, that he believes that's why they don't have more of those big runs in the running game. So I don't know how long it takes. Like you said, CJ Baxter got that late last year. Jaden Blue, I thought, would already have that. So maybe it's just something that he's not naturally, attuned into is that patience. And maybe because he's so fast, it's actually more of a challenge for him to be patient and to take his time. So good stuff there, CJ.
Well, sometimes as a coach, you've got to put a jab step or something on him. You've got to put a drop step. I've seen them. We used to run the power, which is pulling a backside guard to lead through the hole with the lead blocker. And we would have our tailback or pistol back take a step back and go, just timing to slow them down a little bit so that things can develop. And I think that's one thing that I've seen in common with our running backs since this staff has been here is that they have eventually gotten the backs to do that. And I never even really thought about it, CJ, until you said that a while ago. And I thought, that's so right. You can just see the development in these guys and how they wait behind their blockers and find that crease and know when, instead of trying. And I think it will come for Jaden, but I think it's something already that our staff has done a really good job of harnessing our players to wait for the blocks, and then you burst through. And I think sometimes the best way to learn it is for Jaden to see on film, wow, if I just would have been a little more patient, look at that lane right there, but I stuck it up in there too fast. And so I think that may be the best way for him to learn. He'll learn as he's getting reps this year. And especially if they'll put on some old film of the guys before him and how they did it. And I think we'll continue to see that develop. That's a great point, CJ.
That'll be interesting because I think we all see it at times, that hole later develops than when the running back's being contacted. And Coach, to your point, maybe the solution is a jab step or, a little hop to get into position. You don't have to do a whole lot. It doesn't change your path or your trajectory. What it does is change the timing in which more time for your offensive line to create and part what would be that front seven. I think that would be a tremendous solution there.
And that was an NFL running back, and I'll have to go try to find the sound. But I remember him saying when they asked him, what was the biggest difference in his improvement as a running back? And he said the first 5 steps. He said, I got really good at my first 5 steps. He said, they used to be too quick. He said, and then I got to the point where I was very measured in my first 5 steps, depending on the play, depending on what we were running. My first 5 steps changed. And he said, sometimes it was a slower, build up. And sometimes it was a little bit quicker, but I had to learn how to, as a running back, I had to learn how to be very calculating about my first 5 steps. I think that's kind of what coach is talking about. Like, now put a jab step in there, put something, slow them down if they need to be slowed down, depending on the run concept. Good stuff there, guys. Good combo.
No, you don't have to be Le'Veon Bell. That's not what I'm saying. He was a different type of back whenever he was just dancing behind gap to gap. But you see how and why that was successful for him, because he could pick and choose when to hit the hole. That's what we're looking at here.
Yep. How about this from, speaking of running backs, Dirk Veda says over and under Blue fumbles the rest of the year, 2. I think he's hopefully he's learned his lesson. If he hasn't, if we see more fumbles from Jaden Blue, if we see more than 2 for the rest of the year, hell, I mean, I don't know exactly how many he had last year. I got to go check. But that would mean that maybe he does have a fumbling problem, considering his fumbling issues got him benched in that game. Or sat down. He didn't get benched because he's going to be back with the team, but they had to sit him down again. And I was talking to Derek Johnson about this, and he said, man, don't forget, there were a lot of great running backs have had to take a seat because coach didn't like what they were doing back in the day. He said Jamal Charles had to coach sat him down once. Now come sit next to me. You need to think about it for a while. Time for you to get some mental reps. He brought up a point where Sid Benson. I remember a young Sid Benson had to come sit next to coach. It's happened to some great backs here at Texas because they, had a bad game, or they weren't focused, or, ball security issues, pass protection issues, whatever it may be. So I think you're going to get the best from Jaden Blue coming. I think he's going to come out like a banshee versus Oklahoma. And I think you may get an epic game from him in that game.
I'm going to say under.
Yep.
I mean, how many games could you potentially play this season? 8? How many more games? 8, 9 more games?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, to say he's not going to fumble anymore more than one time with 100 and something carries, I mean, I don't know. They may not have that many carries, but
I would say Bijan didn't fumble a lot. Like Bijan and Rojo, we took for granted. But ball security for all running backs is top priority.
Well, Bijan had that one. Bijan had one.
You only remember like 1 or 2. I remember the one Rojo had was like K-State or something. The guy walks him down and punches the ball out on a long play. I remember the Bijan one. Think like you remember that one because that was the only one, really.
Only one, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Our producer Matthew pointed out that Blue had 2 fumbles a year ago. He had the one early in the year against Wyoming, in which he kind of got put in the doghouse. I don't want to call it that, but you didn't see much of him right after that. And of course, that was with the healthy Blue. That was with the healthy Baxter and Brooks in front of him. And then he had the fumble against Washington. Coach, I think you made a great point. You could certainly see 8, 9, 10, 11 more games for Texas this year. To act like he's not going to ever fumble again goes against, the overall volume or the law of volume in there for running backs and what we've seen with fumbling. We don't want it to become an issue, but good running backs tend to have, I don't want to say loose coverage with it, but folks look to punch balls out when they're making a move because then you see the ball get away from the body at times. Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots in the NFL, he's fumbled in all 4 games so far this year, and he's still trotting out as that number 1 guy. However, you see them start to ease the load for him, and Antonio Gibson starting to get more. So you see the leash starting to shorten. And for Texas, as these games become more important, well, if you got a guy in your stable right now that's not turning the ball over, I think the hot hand or the steady hands here is where they're going to lean.
Yep. Trey Wisner. That's why Trey Wisner, he can have a huge season potentially if that issue persists with Jaden Blue. I don't think it will, though. I think he is going to be a sure-handed ball carrier from this point forward. How about Ashley? Ashley, thank you very much for the question. Says, Rod, what defense would run against OU's struggling offense with a quick quarterback and a weak O-line? She also wants to know what's the best Red River Rivalry game ever played. That's hard to say 5 times fast. What's the best Red River Rivalry game ever played besides the 49er blowout? 49er. See, Longhorn fans, are we talking about a good Texas OU game, or are we just talking about one where Texas beat the hell out of Oklahoma? Because those are very different. Because to me, one of the greatest is the 2008 game was one of the greatest. What's the one that Sam had where they went to all the overtimes? What year was that? Was that 2018? What was that?
2020?
Was that 2020? All the overtime? That was a hell of a game.
That was the game we lost that game?
Yeah.
It wasn't 18. We beat them in 18, and we
beat
played
them
them
in
again in the
18.
championship.
So it must have been 19 or 20 that
It was
went
20. I think that was the empty COVID stadium game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
It was,
you're right.
But that 2018 game, that to me was my favorite because it was Texas up big. You had all the momentum, and then you sat around, you looked in the stadium right after about 3 quick scores from Oklahoma, and everybody's real puckered. And you're sitting there watching Kyler do his Heisman stuff, and Cameron Dicker coming in clutch. I tell you what, that Heisman game for that overtime game, that COVID game, for as fun as it was, it's a damn shame that happened during COVID and you didn't have packed crowds on both sides. I don't know if it would have made a difference. It probably wouldn't have. But my goodness, how fun would that have been to see 101 or 98 combined points and as long as that game was, I'm sure folks are probably actually happy that they weren't sunburnt as hell up in those seats by the end of that game.
Yeah. Now we've had some really good ones recently. I mean, you can look at those scores. They've been some really competitive. Honestly, the one, I know Longhorn fans don't like it, but the Sark first year, the collapse was a good game. It was heart-wrenching and traumatic for us to go through. But if you were just watching it as a college football fan, you were like, this game is amazing. Look at all the momentum shifts. But obviously, I'm being on losing end.
It was amazing.
That was an amazing game, man. It was. So I don't know what you guys have a favorite. It's hard for me to pick a favorite game overall, and even a favorite moment for me because there have been so many. But man, like I said, maybe that 2008 is hard to beat. Obviously, I mean that was an amazing game too. That was one.
I'll tell you what. Y'all gonna laugh at me. Back in 1978, I think CJ's going, man. My mom was in high school back then.
Look at I wasn't saying all the way back up.
All right, let's look. So there's a guy named Randy McEachern, 1977. That's what it was. 1977. Randy McEachern, who still lives in Austin, great guy. His wife is the one that wrote the book on DKR.
Okay.
McEachern, I can't remember her first name. They're great people, but he was a third-team quarterback. All right. The first 2 quarterbacks got hurt. He was a guy who never really got to play, kind of didn't throw well, but he brought Texas in and led them back to a victory. And that was when I was like very influential in high school. And I just thought he was my hero, man. He brought Texas back to beat OU. That was my first time to really like get excited about the Texas OU game. But yeah, for personal reasons, my favorite's 08 too.
Okay.
I like that one. Hey, Matthew, scroll back up to the recent games there.
I love that.
One of my favorite things to do as someone who avidly bets on sports games is blindly taking the Texas-Oklahoma Red River shootout over. Look at these scores, 64 points, 49 points. What is that? 103 points, 98 points, 61. There's no way that we're looking at a game, 8 days, 9 days from now that has anything close to 60 points, right? There's no way. Right?
Yeah.
Am I crazy here?
No, I don't think you're crazy.
I wouldn't.
With the way that
happened in that game.
Yeah, that's true. But with the brand new quarterback, with bad offense line for Oklahoma, with the way that Texas defensively is playing, and if the points do come, I think we all agree maybe that it would come from the Texas side. But to your point, Coach, anything can happen. We have seen crazier things, but I can't imagine a game that's close to 50 to 45 or anything again like that this year.
No, it's either going to be lower scoring or Texas is going to blow them out. I feel like it's going to be a low scoring competitive game where Texas, didn't expect the defense to be as good, and Oklahoma defense it's a really opportunistic defense, or it's tight for a while and then Texas slowly separates. Because I think if Texas gets up 2 scores in this game, I don't see how Oklahoma can come back unless there are turnovers. That's why turnovers is going to be big in this game because that's OU's bread and butter. They're second in the country in takeaways, second in sacks. So pass protection and turnovers. If Texas takes care of the football and they protect Quinn Ewers, as Kelvin Banks has a great saying about protecting Quinn. He says, "I like my quarterbacks to be untouched by the hands of man."
What a line!
Isn't that a great line, Coach? Great line. I heard him say that. And I was like, Damn, that's a good line. They should put it on a T-shirt. I like my quarterback to be untouched by the hands of man. So if they can do that, if he can be untouched by the hands of man and they take care of the football, Texas is going to win that thing going away. They are. That's the only thing that can make it close. All right, let's get to a couple of the questions. Oh, before we do that, because I know we're getting close to the end here, let me thank one of our sponsors once again, our good friends over at South Point Dodge before we move on here. So Texas football fans, you have a great opportunity to score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including a great selection of Ram 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s. Whatever your truck needs, South Point Dodge is the one-stop shop. You can score big today at South Point Dodge. And speaking of scoring big, right now is the perfect time for you to do it because they have a great selection and a great sale happening of Ram 2500s. Right now, you can shop over 50 Ram 2500s, all marked down with huge savings right now at South Point Dodge. So you can go over there and check out their fantastic inventory in person off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go visit them online today at southpointdodge.com. That's southpointdodge.com. Whatever your truck needs, South Point Dodge is their one-stop shop. Austin's automotive everything, southpointdodge.com. Thank you very much for sponsoring the Winning Drive and being a part of the On Texas Football family. All right, a couple other questions. We'll end it on these. Someone here says, and this is from J Wood 888, said, do y'all think losing to OU last year will make Steve run the score up? Now, first of all, nope, Sark. All right, I don't want Coach Steven because Coach Steven, that's the bad alter ego of Sark. That's the guy that took points off the board last game. That's Coach Steve, and we like Coach Sark. He's cool. He's got really cool shoes. He dresses all nice. You know what I mean? He's fashionable. He's, you know what I mean? That's the guy. That's our guy.
Good grief. Answer the man's question.
I'm just saying. I think Sark's trying to run it up on everybody. I don't necessarily know what you think this year. I think he's trying to run it up on everybody.
I absolutely think he's going to run it up.
Absolutely. If he can, absolutely. Well, since we're on a first-name basis, Brent, he's going to make Brent. He's going to try to put leather to that butt.
Longhorn fans like to call them burnt vegetables. They get used to the burnt vegetables.
I haven't heard that one. Hey, listen, Rod, before you get, y'all were talking about something that's just kind of news breaking or whatever. You didn't know if we heard about. What was that?
Oh yeah, matter of fact, CJ, can you hit the people up real quick? Thank you, Coach, for keeping me on schedule.
Well, I'm sitting here in suspense.
Coach, I don't know if it's.
I wonder if Steve quit or something today. I mean,
I don't know if it'll break the internet today. But Texas did schedule a game in 2028, September 2nd, with Louisiana Tech. It should be the season opener. That was announced earlier today. So 2028, Texas will be looking for a big marquee game. You got UTSA scheduled September 16th. You open the year now, Louisiana Tech at home, September 2nd. That September 9th game, you can expect to kind of follow suit with the Michigan, Ohio State. You see it there in 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. We'll see where they go. But right now, that game was added for September 2nd, 2028. Mark your calendars. I'm sure that'll be a can't-miss game for Texas and whichever quarterback they got trotting out at that time.
Who would y'all like to see as the big marquee matchup? Because you got, obviously, your Michigan in 2024, Ohio State 25, 26, and Michigan again in 27. If you could pick somebody as that big dog you're going to play in non-conference, who is it for 28, 29 if you could pick anybody? Guys.
Ooh, send me Oregon. I want to see Oregon come to Austin or Florida State. Those two, if Florida State ever rebounds and stops looking like as Division II a program they're looking at right now, but send me either one of them two. That'd be a fun one.
That is good. I like that.
Oregon would be it would be a great. We just rarely get a chance to play them, unfortunately. If I'm not mistaken, the last time we played them was 2013 in the Alamo Bowl. Was Max last game.
You're right.
Ugly game. Did they have about 30 total yards of offense?
Yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, you're right about that. That was ugly. No, that was a good one. I think you're right about this. Oregon probably is the sexy pick there. Someone says Miami. Need some big time revenge on them. That ain't bad. That's not bad at all.
Hey, do you remember when they beat us down in the Cotton Bowl? I don't know how old you were. It was in the early 90s.
Coach, we got to get my friend Johnny Walker on here.
Oh,
Johnny Walker, the one that played. Johnny Walker tells great stories about that game.
They were having parties, and that's the first time I'd ever seen a team just I mean, they were scary, man. I mean,
Yes.
they were scary good. And
They
they were
were.
celebrating and taunting our guys. I thought, oh my goodness, I've never seen anything like this.
I was told by Johnny Walker, said we're gonna get him on to tell these stories because that's a first-hand account. I'm gonna text him to see if he'll come on with us one day. And he said he claims that they before the kickoff, like literally opening when they're out stretching and the guys, are getting ready for the game, the Miami's talking trash. And they told the Texas sideline before the kickoff, we're about to go down there and knock one of your players out. We're gonna knock him out. And they were just like, these guys talking a lot of trash, man. Coach, they went out there and did it. On the first kickoff, they went down there and knocked the dude out. And they were like, what? What is happening? And he says legitimately in the locker room at halftime, guys were fearful. There were guys fearful.
What was that linebacker from Dallas Carter that was playing for Miami that was so good? Played in the league forever.
I forget.
Bruce Chambers coached him at Carter. Come on, somebody come up with that name. Golly, that dude could run.
Who did he end up playing for in the league? Did he play for the Cowboys?
I don't even remember.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Jesse Armstead. That's it.
There you go. Oh yeah. End up playing. Yeah. They're playing in. What Jesse Armstead playing in with the Giants? Who does Jesse Armstead end up playing?
Yeah, I think maybe so. Yeah.
I want to say it was the Giants. I could be off there. There you go. Man, you're quick. Matthew.
He is. Look at that.
Oh, and it is the Giants.
Look at that.
How you like that? I guess I am old.
God, I got to find a way to contribute to this conversation, man.
This is old man talk, CJ. You don't want to get involved in this stuff. All right. Let's thank our last sponsor before we get out of here. Let's thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Trust me, folks, if you have Flat Creek Estate Winery, just try it once. It will change your opinion about wine. Period, folks. So my wife tried it once, and now she is a huge fan of Flat Creek Estate Winery. They're one of the most awarded wines in Texas, and actually a vineyard that is closest to Austin, Texas. That's right, Flat Creek Estate Winery, just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award this year for their vintage wine. Super Texan is one of my wife's favorite. My mother-in-law actually enjoys it too. She just came down and she's a big fan of it, and you will be too. They have Super Texan available at your local Specs, so give it a try. Also, it's available at Central Market. I do some grocery shopping there, and I've seen their display, Flat Creek Estate Winery there, so you can go find it at Central Market or at Specs. And of course, Flat Creek is also a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend, perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with that significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery. Thank you for sponsoring the winning drive and being part of the On Texas Football family. That's flatcreekestate.com. Really appreciate you. All right. I think we are at the end of our live stream. Thank you very much to all of you guys out there for participating. All the questions. If we didn't get to all the questions, throw them out to the coffee and football folks at 8 in the morning. That'll be tomorrow. Also, tomorrow we have our live stream. Remember, that's a daytime live stream. That'll be at 1 p.m. So you had coffee and football at 8, 1 p.m. live stream. Thanks to our sponsor. Thank you to Flat Creek Estate Winery. Thank you to our friends over at Duck Camp. Thank you to Hardgrove Roofing, thecarrotconcierge.com, and our friends at duckcamp.com as well. Matthew is the real MVP. Can't do it without him. So thank you very much, Matthew. Coach, thank you for the time and the laughs and the wisdom. CJ, you are the man. Appreciate the energy and all of the information and the nuggets. Until next time, hook 'em horns.